The world is on a catastrophic pathway to 2.7 degrees of heating. And science tells us indeed that anything above 1.5 degrees would be a disaster.
Leta 2021 je svetovna poraba premoga in plina dosegla rekordne vrednosti. In povpraševanje po nafti prav tako. Industrialci vsak dan načrpajo 100 milijonov sodčkov nafte. Svet je tempirana bomba.
We are expecting, over time, the demand for fossil fuels to decline. And the question is, when does that start to decline?
We've never had a change in the energy system that has broken that link between an expanding global economy and the amount of emissions that we are emitting to the atmosphere.
L'homme recherche depuis des siècles toujours la même chose. Une énergie qui soit la plus abordable possible, la plus dense, la plus facile à utiliser.
V 20. stoletju so zasebne naftne družbe postale superstrukture, svojevrstne oblasti.
A lot of the oil and gas majors are trying to find ways to keep fossil fuels central to our systems moving forward.
There's numerous platforms and numerous ways that the fossil fuel industry sort of gets its ideas into the heads of decision makers.
Skoraj 800 milijonov ljudi po svetu še vedno nima dostopa do energije. Organizacija Združenih narodov napoveduje, da bo do leta 2050 2 milijardi več prebivalcev. Za proizvajalce različnih energij to pomeni 3 milijarde novih strank. Lahko bi si pobliže ogledali delovanje multinacionalk Exxona, Chevrona, Shella in BP-ja. Toda v Franciji imamo multinacionalko, ki zatrjuje, da spoštuje človekove pravice in se zaveda podnebne krize. Odločili smo se, da vstopimo v družbo s 1000 podružnicami v 130 državah po svetu. Total. Zeleno zavajanje energetske multinacionalke. Naša zgodba se začne v osrednji Afriki, na zahodu Ugande. Tu, na bregovih reke Nil, bo Total izvedel nov naftni projekt. Podjetje bo izvrtalo 400 vrtin, kar tretjino v tem največjem naravnem parku. Ta daje zavetje antilopam, nilskim konjem, slonom, levom, gepardom, žirafam in množici drugih živalskih vrst. Da bo nafta prišla na svetovni trg, bo 1445 km dolg naftovod prečkal Ugando in Tanzanijo, vse do Indijskega oceana. Potekal bo mimo številnih krajev, gozdov, savan, ob obalah Viktorijinega jezera, vse do Indijskega oceana. Po cevi, ki bo ogreta na 50 stopinj Celzija, bo tekla nafta. To bo najdaljši naftovod na svetu. Kmalu bodo lahko načrpali 230 tisoč sodčkov na dan. To bo trajalo 25 let. Ceste že gradijo, pa tudi mostove in mednarodno letališče. Na ogromnih gradbiščih bodo kmalu stale rafinerije. To ruralno območje se bo za vselej spremenilo. Država Uganda bo od Totala dobivala rento. Veliki dobički pa bodo romali v žepe dveh naftnih koncesionarjev, Knoka, kitajskega državnega podjetja, in Totala, glavnega nosilca tega projekta. V nekaj mesecih je Eldorado ob velikih jezerih namesto turističnega kraja prihodnosti postal prepovedano območje.
Tell us where it's not safe to film, right? Yeah. Tell us, like, we don't know this area. Yes. Like, you tell us where it's time to record or when it is safe to record.
Okay.
Is it safe now?
Dva tuja novinarja, ki sta se skušala približati bodoči rafineriji, so aretirali. Diplomatske predstavnike veleposlaništev Francije, Belgije, Danske, Norveške in Nizozemske, ki so v Ugando prišli preveriti spoštovanje človekovih pravic, so z območja pregnali policisti. Nad prebivalci izvajajo pritisk. Več tisoč lastnikov zemljišč so razlastili. Dva kmeta, ki nas spremljata, sta živela tu, desno od ceste, ob kateri bo kmalu stalo veliko industrijsko območje. Mnogi, ki so jih razlastili, so žrtve pritiskov ugandske naftne policije.
So when we try to raise our voice, Total one time they told us that no, we have given a contract to motor engines. That what they are doing is very wrong actually. They are supposed to clear area in the face, but Total give them a short time to clear the area. So they are supposed to move very fast to clear the area to remain vacant. So those are the challenges community are getting.
And you see these people are near, the machines are shouting, doing a lot of noise, but these people can't sleep. But they don't want you even to talk. If you talk something like that, they bring RDC, DPC, like that.
Medtem ko so tovornjaki na gradbišču odvažali ugandski pesek, je več tisoč kilometrov stran spomladi 2021 multinacionalka s sedežem v pariškem La Défense začela svojo letno mašo. Trenutek je bil več kot pomenljiv.
Messieurs, chers actionnaires, bonjour. J'espère que vous êtes nombreux à suivre cette assemblée générale en direct sur notre site internet. Cette assemblée est particulièrement importante cette année. Je pense même pouvoir les qualifier d'historiques, car elle marque notre volonté collective d'inventer un nouveau Total, une compagnie multi-énergie, acteur majeur de la transition énergétique, et dont la stratégie va s'ancrer dans son nom même, celui de votre société, Total Énergie, avec, il va falloir s'y faire, deux lettres capitales, un T et un E, mais aussi, et vous allez la découvrir aujourd'hui, une nouvelle image. Relever le double défi de satisfaire les besoins en énergie d'une population mondiale plus nombreuse tout en limitant le réchauffement climatique, cela fonde la raison d'être, la mission de Total Énergie.
Total je peta največja naftna družba na svetu. Njenih 100 000 zaposlenih ima le en cilj – sodelovati pri širjenju proizvodnje. Leta 2021 so imeli $16 milijard dobička, zgodovinski rekord. Total na dan načrpa 3 milijone sodčkov. Črpajo nafto in plin, imajo rafinerije, petrokemične tovarne, izdelujejo PVC izdelke, črpajo nafto iz katranskega peska in plin iz skrilavcev. Ukvarjajo se s transportom, distribucijo in zdaj še z obnovljivimi viri energije. In to z razlogom, kajti povsod po svetu je podnebno segrevanje srž vseh javnih debat. Naftne družbe, ki so dolgo tajile, da so zanj krive, danes dajejo vtis, da sodelujejo pri reševanju tega vprašanja.
We have to recognize that the climate problem at its heart is an energy problem. So the vast majority of the CO2 emissions that are emitted to the atmosphere come from the energy sector. Almost 3/4 of the greenhouse gas emissions today are coming from energy. If you look at the percentage of investment that is going to cleaner areas, so not the traditional oil and gas, but some new technologies, clean electricity, low carbon fuels. That was very low until quite recently. There are areas where the oil and gas industry could be quite helpful for transitions. I'm not saying that they have yet demonstrated that case, but they could be quite helpful.
Družbo Total smo skušali prepričati, da nam odpre vrata, da bi prisluhnili njihovim inženirjem. In nazadnje so nam jih odprli. Njihovi tiskovni predstavniki so nas povabili v Houston, kjer smo posneli sestanek vodilnih.
Only 3 rules. Rule number 1 is forget the camera, don't forget the journalist. Rule number 2 is we try to the max to not use acronym because we all know here that we love that. And obviously rule number 3 is having this little voice in our head that we want to put forward how much the oil and gas experience of TotalEnergies can contribute to accelerate our shift to renewables. Essentially it's a Saturday Night Live improvisation. Okay. Cool.
Port Arthur.
Sorry?
Port Arthur. We don't want to go too far down that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. No, there's no secret that we are going to be an actor on Port Arthur offshore.
No, about our operations there. We don't.
Yes. Yeah, I don't want too many rules, but yes. I don't think Patrick wants us to talk too much about Port Arthur.
Right.
Great point.
Okay.
Nick, you want to give us a heads up on what's new and brand there?
Yeah, California, we have now, we believe, about 500 square miles of wind energy area coming for lease next year. Wind speeds are very good, some of the best in the nation on that western coast. That area could have very large potential. We could be looking at 5+ gigawatts coming out of California.
We really like this California project. We think we're good at that. Is there any way we can help them to make sure they keep the timeline, or what can we contribute to their preparation effort?
Selling to them that we are a company that can do that is really going to help them understand and push this forward. And showing them how our skill sets translate and that we are very committed, I think will help them understand that it is an area of interest for everyone.
Great. Please just enlighten me. What am I looking at in detail here?
The color coding here is showing the potential economic benefit. In essence, blue-green is better than red-yellow colors.
Okay, so it's a combination of wind speed and electricity price, like how much you can create electrons versus how much you can sell them.
It's showing the net dollar potential in the Gulf of Mexico for these sites, yes.
We have experience in oil and gas and we have experience in offshore wind. We can help them transition as regulators. And so think of it. The United States are considered very bullish because we just announced 2030, 30 gigawatt.
Yeah.
TotalEnergies has announced 35 gigawatt by 25 worldwide of renewables and 100 gigawatt by 2030.
We have unlimited potential, or virtually unlimited potential for us as a company here. Each of these auctions are multi-gigawatt, so it's there for the taking, for the development. I think we have our work cut out for us here for years to come.
Good. So let's talk about social justice and local engagement.
Užitek, s katerim ti inženirji govorijo o vetrnih elektrarnah, gigavatih, poslovnih načrtih v Mehiškem zalivu, je zgovoren. Končno lahko dajejo drugačno podobo kadrov v naftni industriji. Družba TotalEnergies ima za seboj težko preteklost, a zdaj lahko z naložbami v obnovljive vire energije posežejo po novem idealu. Sodelujejo lahko v boju proti podnebnim spremembam, še več, lahko so njegov glavni igralec. Kapitalizem superjunakov. Lahko rešijo planet in obenem ljudem ponudijo energetske rešitve. V podjetju zdaj največ govorijo o razvoju zelenih energij, kar je nenavadno, saj poročilo nevladne organizacije Reclaim Finance navaja, da je v TotalEnergies proizvodnja energije iz obnovljivih virov le 0,38%.
créer des tours éoliennes, on va développer des panneaux photovoltaïques, on va créer des centrales électriques à partir du gaz naturel et on fera croire que ces méthodes-là sont de nature à relever l'industrie des hydrocarbures et à satisfaire une demande pour que rien ne change du point de vue de notre mode de vie. Et on se dira, ben, ceux qui sont capables de se lancer dans ces grands chantiers industriels, c'est nous. C'est nous parce que nous avons les capitaux. Comment ça se fait que c'est Total qui a les capitaux et non Greenpeace? Bon, c'est Total parce que Total a fait quoi? Ben, a été présente en Afrique du Sud au moment du régime de l'apartheid, a fait travailler de force via une partenaire des populations infortunées au Myanmar, elle pactise avec les oligarques russes, et donc elle devient ce qu'elle est, c'est-à-dire une entité multimilliardaire, extrêmement puissante à l'échelle mondiale. Et c'est à ce titre-là qu'elle se dit, si vous voulez une solution pour l'écologie, faites appel à nous, parce que nous avons les capitaux, nous avons le savoir-faire.
Blizu sedeža družbe Total Energy se sestanemo z nekdanjim bančnikom Goldman Sachsa. Mož je obogatel z izkoriščanjem nafte in plina na teksaških tleh. Že več kot desetletje njegovo podjetje svetuje vlagateljem v nafto in plin.
I think the European-based major oil companies have been a bit ahead of the US companies as regards a desire to allocate more of their capital to non-traditional fossil fuel-related businesses. But there's a limit to the amount of capital that Total or ExxonMobil or Chevron or anyone can spend on technologies that are not yet generating a particularly attractive return. So in the power business, for example, the internal rate of return, which is just a financial measurement for the quality of an investment, the internal rate of return on offshore wind projects, which are very very popular and very active in Northern Europe in particular, and increasingly in the US as well. Those generally will return the operator somewhere between 5 and 6 and 7%. Right? That's very low. That's very low relative to returns on capital more broadly. And so there's hesitation by the major oil companies to totally pivot their model to become just renewable power generators and not involved in the production and refining and marketing of fossil fuel.
Z vprašanjem o smiselnosti naložb v nove vrste energije se ukvarja ves svet.
We need a massive increase, a much larger increase in the amount spent on energy transitions. So where does that money come from? Some of it will need to come from states, particularly in areas where the private sector doesn't see yet the commercial case for investment. But there are technologies available today that are cost effective, where the case for investment is very strong. And we see that if the policies are right, then there should be no obstacle then for private money to come into those sectors and really help move the transition along.
Ameriško potovanje smo nadaljevali pri družbi Total Energy. Po vetrnih elektrarnah v Houstonu nas na ameriški zahodni obali sprejmejo v njihovi drugi podružnici, ki je nekakšen sklad tveganega kapitala. Njihov cilj – odkrivanje in vlaganje v zagonska podjetja v Silicijevi dolini, ki se ukvarjajo z zelenimi tehnologijami.
We want to invest very, very early to get a chance to invest, because we know that if we wait, it's going to be too late. And because we also want to bet on breakthrough technologies and see where it leads us.
We don't know how the future will be, but if this company becomes a $1 billion company, you don't care if you got in at 20 or 40 or 100.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's a $1 billion company making a big impact in green hydrogen and we're in it at the beginning, I think it's fine. But the question is this company going to be the one that succeeds?
There are tons and tons of people looking at it all. So
green hydrogen is super hypey.
Yeah. If we don't join right now, I'm not sure there will be a chance for us to invest in the company later.
If you look at hydrogen public companies right now, they are based off of nothing.
What do you got as
But we're trying to seed the market to make it a bankable technology. It's not even a bankable technology today.
Yeah.
No hydrogen is, right?
The end use is not still super clear.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's good.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But it's called VC hype, and these days this is how the market is, and we have to deal with a market which is inevitable.
Well, it's funny because I mean people speak 50% of the time of it, even if there is no case. But they got so much money.
It's tricky because we don't have a division that is yet wired to handle this kind of topic.
Sure. And it's also really, I mean, early stage technology investments are not the bread and butter of a Total, right? We're risk averse. They don't even want the technology anymore. They want to be tech agnostic. So we're like, Total Energies is not trying to be like a developer of multiple technologies and multiple energies.
Yeah.
Regardless of the tech, they just want to buy the most bankable and cheapest tech at the point that they can.
I think it makes sense to me.
Majhne naložbe danes, veliki zaslužki jutri, to je bistvo vsega. Z obnovljivo energijo ali brez nje, enačba ostaja enaka.
L'actionnaire d'une boîte pétrolière, ce qu'il veut, c'est que vous lui versiez les dividendes venant de votre pétrole. Et peut-être que les marchés pétroliers vont décliner, mais après tout, vous êtes une entreprise et vous allez générer de plus en plus de cash, et puis vous allez le rendre à vos actionnaires. Et les actionnaires, c'est différent. Alors les actionnaires, ce qui se passe, oui, clairement, la question climatique est présente. Elle est présente parce qu'en fait, c'est la protection de leur portefeuille. Ils ont peur des fameux, ce qu'on appelle les actifs échoués, les actifs stranded en anglais. Ils ont peur de se retrouver dans une industrie dont, il y a un moment, le bilan, il vaut 100 milliards ou 200 milliards, mais peut-être qu'il en voudra moins, et donc ils ont peur d'avoir... Et puis, ils ont envie de contribuer eux aussi au mouvement, et ils ont un pouvoir d'influence.
My wish would be that the finances of this transition became more central to the debate around solutions. And right now it's not. And it wasn't in Paris. It's not in Washington, D.C. I doubt that it is in, most anywhere else. And so until we get our head around that, progress is going to be very, very slow. Right? All of the signatories to the Paris Accords, none of them are on track with what they said they were going to do. None. Why? Is it because they don't want to be? Because they don't have political will? It's money.
Potem, ko smo se seznanili, kako se Total razvija na trgu obnovljivih virov, bomo pobliže pogledali še tradicionalno dejavnost podjetja. Pri družbi Total Energy nafta in plin obsegata 3/4 vseh naložb. Lahko bi šli v Katar, Nigerijo ali Argentino, toda tu, v Teksasu, smo slišali nenavadno zgodbo. Tu ni sončnih ali vetrnih elektrarn. Plin pridobivajo s hidravličnim trobljenjem, temu pa jezni prebivalci nasprotujejo.
I live in Arlington, Texas. I've lived here for 28 years. Arlington is between Dallas and Fort Worth, and it is on top of this big reservoir of gas called the Barnett Shale. And in 2015, I started a group to organize against all this drilling, and the group is called Livable Arlington. And now Total is the biggest driller in Arlington. They bought all the sites, and what is really shocking is how many there are. It's not one, it's not two, there's 32 of them. This whole road, it's called Division, it's sort of the main street that runs through town. This is Total's corridor. Every 2 minutes there's a Total drill site here.
V Ranžanini četrti so v zadnjih 10 letih zrasli objekti, ob katerih industrialci vrtajo v tla, bodisi vertikalno ali horizontalno, v dolžini več kilometrov. Vrtajo, v skalnato plast pod ulicami, hišami, šolami. Plin pridobivajo s potiskanjem vode pod visokim tlakom in velikih količin peska ter kemičnih dodatkov. Pridobivanje plina iz skrilavca je v več državah prepovedano. V Franciji, Združenem kraljestvu in več ameriških državah. In kateri so razlogi? Onesnaženje voda, potresi, izpusti toplogrednih plinov. Ko se je začelo množično pridobivanje plina iz skrilavca, je Total ENERGIJE, ki tega ni mogel početi na francoskih tleh, vlagal v drugih državah po svetu, recimo tu v predmestju Dallasa.
That's a natural gas power plant. And there are 2 compressor stations, really horrible polluting compressor stations right over there. There are these huge facilities where they do compression, and they pollute a lot. And sometimes when there are power outages or if there's too much pressure, they release everything into the air. It's called the blowdown, and that is very, very polluting. So all that happens here all the time.
Da bi bolje razumeli Ranžanin boj proti multinacionalki, smo se v New Yorku sestali z znanstvenikom z Univerze Cornell. Robert Howard je biogeokemik. Že vrsto let se ukvarja z življenjskim ciklom metana. Je eden največjih strokovnjakov za izhlapevanje metana v ozračje.
Methane is a very, very powerful greenhouse gas. For the time it's in the atmosphere, it's more than 100 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. And shale gas, any natural gas, is mostly methane. It's 90–95% methane. So if you develop this gas and emit just a little bit of it unburned to the atmosphere, it could have a big greenhouse problems. Now that's important because in Paris back in December of 2015, the nations came together under COP21 and said we want to keep the planet from warming to 1.5 degrees. We're at 1.1 degrees right now. We're within 0.4 of a degree of that. Methane gives us the ability to slow that by 0.3, so it's a critical thing. So here's a typical, I think that's probably a storage tank, this operation, and you see nothing. That's a true picture. And that's what it looks like if you have one of these cameras. We call it a FLIR camera that's tuned to the infrared. So you can see the methane is pouring out there. It looks like smoke. It's not smoke. It's the same invisible to the human eye gas that we couldn't see a minute ago, but the camera can see it because it's absorbing that infrared radiation. Okay, so it's still a gas processing plant here. And just look at the amount of methane that's coming out of that.
Danes v Pensilvaniji, Teksasu in Severni Dakoti živi kar 17 milijonov Američanov le 1,5 kilometra od objektov za pridobivanje plina ali nafte. Za Ranžano in nekaj borcev je pridobivanje plina, ki se ga ne vidi, ne voha, glavna skrb.
Could I have just a couple for myself? Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Awesome.
I wouldn't want to live or study near one of these fracking wells. When you put all this massive volume of water and chemical additives down into to frack a well, it's tens of millions of liters of material. So this liquid waste can contaminate groundwater, and if you're using groundwater as your drinking water supply, that's a real problem. There's also an air pollution problem, and the methane itself, my own research focuses on methane as a greenhouse gas. It's a potent one. There are other gases in there as well, things like benzene and toluene. No one wants to be exposed to these, and particularly you don't want young children to be exposed to these. These are carcinogenic gases that cause cancer.
Who would be the people that would come out here and test for things like that? Who would even know, or
Nobody. Oh, we're kind of on our own.
Ob 10 vrtinah v mestu ima Total ENERGIJE v lasti še en objekt v bližini otroškega vrtca. Zasipano območje, 2 vrtini, kompresorji, odpadne vode, kemični izdelki. Le streljaji od otroškega igrišča. Podjetje namerava postaviti še eno vrtino. Totalovo prošnjo za gradnjo mora preučiti mestni svet. Glasovali bodo za ali proti novemu dovoljenju za vrtanje.
The applicant tonight is Total, E&P Barnett USA.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for hearing our case tonight. The time and effort the council and mayor and the council have spent to understand the drill zone case and the gas drilling industry is very much appreciated by Total. If acceptable to the mayor, I'd like to introduce Kevin Strasser with Total to continue the presentation. Please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. You can see that the location is right on the intersection, near the intersection of Highway 360 and Highway 303. The site has existed for over 10 years without any issues, complaints, violations from local state agencies.
Would you answer the question for me? Would you want your grandchildren to go to the child care center that's near your facility?
I would answer yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
French energy giant Total are the dominant gas producers in Arlington. In 2017, Total's home country of France banned fracking because of the public health risk from air and water pollution. Why would we let Total expand their profits at the expense of exposing Arlington residents to harmful gas drilling that their home country has declared to be too dangerous to even allow their own citizens?
I didn't know what was going on. I moved into my home in 2009. It terrifies me. It really honestly does. My children have bright futures. You know, my neighbors, even though I don't know every one of them, their children's lives are important to me. I just ask that you think of them and their future because they are our future. They're the only thing that gives me hope.
Approximately 19 to 25% of Tarrant County children suffer from asthma. The state average is 7%. The national average is 9%. We have a problem here in Arlington, Texas with asthma.
I ask you to please consider that our children are not any worse than the children in France.
Doctor, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there a distance in a setback that you feel is safe?
It depends on how many particulate matter there is in the air. No, the answer is probably no. I mean, you just can't.
Would that, if we took your position as the truth, would that, and we implemented that, that would essentially end fracking in its entirety, is that correct?
I think there's enough people that would agree that fracking should have never happened.
Okay.
I think, however, that we get too happy when we make a lot of money.
Over a 4-year period, Arlington received about $5 million in royalties from Total Energies. Nearly half of those royalties, $2.2 million, came from the 5 drill sites that are within several hundred feet of daycare facilities.
Has Total offered you more money? Better seats at the ballgame? Other perks? Most of the neighborhood is renters who have no voice at all in this process. The neighborhood is 40% Black, 20% Latina. 600 feet is nothing. Science tells us that even half a mile away, people are experiencing asthma. Leukemia occurs at 4.3 times the national average
Wrap it up,
in oil cities. And I also want to quote Dr. Nunez. If I had my way, and he said this to the Houston Chronicle, I would ban fracking in Arlington and would have never allowed it because I know what it can do. That's not what we are asking. We're just asking you to treat these children like they were your own children.
Why, I agree that benzene is a carcinogen and that there can be emission issues, but is there sufficient data to show a causal link from this drill site to the kids there? And I can't say that there is. I'm going to support the applicant in this.
It was insinuated that I was going to vote the way I'm going to vote because I'm on the take and taking bribes.
So I feel like I have to go on the record and explain to you why I'm making my vote. What the Texas legislature did in 2015 is they passed a law that says that if we deny this permit tonight, Total can sue the city of Arlington, win, and drill their wells anyway. And in that case, we would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees to our lawyers, and very possibly have to pay their attorney's fees in the amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is the principled reason why I'm going to vote to support Total's permit tonight.
I have not slept since, what's this, Tuesday? I have not slept since Sunday because I knew this vote was coming. My stomach has been turning because this is a hard decision. But I want to tell you, I stand against Total right now. I do. Thank you.
Please cast your vote. And the motion passes. Thank you all very much.
Še ena vrtina več, še nekaj več plina v vseh neizmernih plinskih projektih družbe, ki je danes drugi največji zasebni proizvajalec plina na svetu. Total Energy ima platforme v Katarju, Argentini, v morju ob Nigeriji. Multinacionalka razvija še en velikanski plinski projekt tudi v Mozambiku. V Rusiji sodeluje z družbo Novatek pri izkoriščanju sibirskega plina. Je tudi prvi izvoznik ameriškega plina in ves čas vlaga v plin pod pretvezo energetskega prehoda.
This narrative that gas is and can be a bridge fuel, while that may have been true 40 years ago, it just cannot be true today, given everything has changed in the energy world, as well as what we know about climate science. If we truly want to keep this world livable, we need to move past all types of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas.
Vrnili smo se še v Houston, kjer smo se dobili z Bobbijem Tudorjem in njegovimi analitiki. Ti finančniki so najboljši analitiki energetskega trga.
Okay, people say we need to stop oil and gas production today, right? We want Total out, we want ExxonMobil out, we want everyone out. Okay.
I think it's funny and interesting that someone who drives an electric vehicle thinks that they're just naturally doing a good thing for the environment. But if you drive an EV in China, I mean, chances are that EV is powered by coal, which is actually worse for the environment. So I think, it's really easy just to parrot the narrative that oil and gas is fundamentally bad and just horrible for the environment without having a really deep understanding of what's actually powering your devices, your vehicles, your day-to-day life.
Renewables, everybody wants to go that direction. It sounds fantastic, but the returns are just not there yet. And honestly, you can't keep throwing good money after bad returns. And ultimately, we saw a lot of that in the shale revolution, and what we're seeing here in the shale revolution in the next probably decade is an industry that's probably going to make more money than they made in the next 2 or 3 years than they made in the last 20 years combined. These guys are pushing this, we got to go really, really fast with this transition. That's going to be seriously challenged.
I'd be curious, your friends who don't work in the oil and gas business, who do other things, do you think they are willing to pay more for cleaner forms of energy? And does that come up when you're talking with your friends about the energy business, just the relative cost and the willingness of the users of the energy to pay more for it?
That's a good question. I drive 2 cars. One is electric and one is gasoline. Candidly, the gasoline one's a Porsche, and I will say that my younger friends love the Porsche way more than the electric one. So when it comes to what people say they want and versus what people actually want, I think that electric sounds nice and new energy sounds nice, but in practice, people still have a tendency to lean toward traditional sources of energy, gas and petroleum.
Total est une multinationale qui fait partie d'entités souveraines de type privé qui travaillent ouvertement un projet géopolitique qui est de valoriser des lois. Des lois qui ne sont plus celles des petits législateurs nationaux, mais qui valent au titre mondial du marché qui s'impose. C'est la loi du marché, la loi de l'offre et de la demande. D'une part, on façonne la société de cette manière-là, et d'autre part, d'une manière perverse, on fait de découvrir cette demande à laquelle on a travaillé, comme si elle se manifestait sur un mode authentique, spontané, naturel. Et on adopte une toute petite voie qui consiste à dire, ben voilà, nous sommes des artisans qui pratiquons un métier qui consiste à satisfaire cette demande-là en énergie. Bon, et c'est tout ce que nous faisons. Nous allons là où il y a des guerres civiles et nous les finançons au besoin. Et bien, nous allons polluer dans les pays du Sud. Nous allons bafouer les droits de peuples autochtones pour quérir cette énergie là où elle se trouve et l'apporter humblement à des gens qui ont la responsabilité historique de nous la demander, comme si cette demande-là n'avait pas été au préalable façonnée.
On s'est donné surtout des objectifs à 10 ans. Moi, je me sens profondément responsable des 10 prochaines années. Je veux réduire les émissions de Total de 40%. Oui, je veux construire 100 gigawatts d'énergie renouvelable. Et c'est ça, et être dans 10 ans un des plus gros producteurs d'énergie renouvelable au monde, dans le top 5. On veut garder les revenus du pétrole, mais on a déjà repositionné le portefeuille. Et en gros, on va baisser le niveau d'exploration et on va être sur un train de déclinant. Le gaz, oui, je sais qu'il y a un débat. C'est une énergie fossile, mais il y aurait une erreur profonde de croire que par un coup de baguette magique, on va réussir à se passer de toutes ces énergies. Ça, c'est pas vrai. Et pour une entreprise, vous savez, il n'y a pas de miracle. Si je peux faire construire l'énergie future parce que je tire des revenus du présent. Mais c'est la même chose pour toute l'humanité. Et je ne peux pas dire j'abandonne. D'ailleurs, je peux abandonner. Je donnerai bonne conscience, mais quelqu'un va continuer à produire le pétrole et le gaz à ma place.
What the fossil fuel industry wants us to believe is that in fact they are energy companies. They're not fossil fuel companies, they're energy companies. And that allows them to say, this isn't about just one product, but ultimately it is. Despite all the noise we hear from big oil and gas companies about their investments in renewables and how they're changing path, at the same time, they're increasing their fossil fuel exploration. They're continuing to drill. And all the projections from companies like Shell and Total is that oil and gas production will continue to rise.
Naša zgodba nas pripelje tja, kjer smo začeli. Bukando in k naftnemu projektu družbe Total Energy. Multinacionalka bo tu več let črpala surovo nafto. Spomnite se vseh živali in naravnega parka, kjer bodo dnevno načrpali 230.000 sodčkov nafte. Projekt zahteva ogromno naložb in obeta velike dobičke.
For me, today is definitely a day of happiness for all of us, but also, I hope, for the people of Uganda and of Tanzania. I will call it the D-Day. This is a day, to be clear, where we committed to invest the $10 billion which are required to develop the Tilenga project and the Kingfisher project. These projects will require as well significant land acquisition program. And we have a close attention to the rights of the local communities is a must. And a fair land acquisition process has been developed with the authorities of Uganda and Tanzania and in compliance with the personal standards of international finance cooperation. For the government of Uganda and Tanzania as well as for Total Energies, taking high care of the local communities is a top priority.
Za ta 10 milijard vreden projekt bodo tisoče ljudi pregnali z njihove zemlje. Zgodba je žalostna. Ponavlja se že vse stoletje na vseh celinah. Tam, kjer multinacionalke črpajo nafto in plin. Za ugančanje vprašanje o podnebnem segrevanju še ni na dnevnem redu, Prostor morajo odstopiti vrtinam, rafinerijam, naftovodom. Poiskati morajo nove obdelovalne površine. Total trdi, da je plačal odškodnino na tisoče ljudem, a tisoči drugih še vedno čakajo na njo.
Ne batusayiningisa empapula ne batugamba okusezula mu bbanga etajja okubiza mwaka zaba za 18
nebasuubiza omwaka ojako abawadde ekyamu kiki kyogabana mu nsonga wasuza otya ng'owulidde ebigambo ng'ebyo
sansize bulungi.
Total activities and government, when they go to the communities, they tell them about good things of oil. You are going to have good roads, you are going to have money, you are going to build good houses. They never tell them that actually oil can be a danger. They never tell them that actually in the whole of Africa, there is no country that has produced oil and has succeeded, has avoided environmental and human rights abuses, have avoided corruption, have avoided environmental destruction. The government and companies do not want us to go there to help people understand. And us who try to bring the real truth and the real picture, they don't allow us to speak. They arrest you, they detain you, they create all conditions that you can't speak. If they were genuine, if they were honest, why would they want to stop the other alternative voices? Why?
Tu na jugu države se srečamo s Kalingom, ki po vaseh zelo neto opravlja pomembno delo.
agikulira va kubona mujja mulaba ndi plan ejjo n'ekyapala n'ekola bweki abakulira nga yampita ng'alaba kazitoka mukoze eki kamuyitiridde naye ate ne mugamba nti kataka butandisi ye yali amanyi nti byakusaaga naye kyaba nampita bagenda kumpayo ekikapu nzire ebbali nkole ki wonna muntu ntera bwegenda kutambulako kalotwogera ku byakulira abantu naye nakatiko kusima tulina okuba nga tulondoola kituufu ebikolebwa tebitobola ddembe ly'abantu kati bwe wesemba bule wakuba mu ngalo kyebabadde kimala emaze bwe waggwa dda otosobola kwerwanirira kyekyo kyolina okumanya gwe wasayini nga wakkiriza kitegedde kati yemuntu kati awawaabirwa mu makitya g'eggwanga naye buli wasigadde enaakola ki awawaabirwa kati gwe njagala obeere muvumu nti olwaleero olina okuba nga obanja kampuni n'abakola nayo okujja okukola ekituufu gy'okola ki.
Koliko so vredne skrbi teh vaščanov, njihova vprašanja in odgovori, na katere čakajo? Nekaterim bo nafta prinesla delo, dobiček, drugim pa razočaranje, onesnaženje, korupcijo, nezakonito trgovanje, prostitucijo, AIDS. 230 tisoč sodčkov bo prodanih na mednarodnem trgu in nafta bo končala v vozilih, ki bodo vsako leto izpustili v zrak 33 milijonov ton ogljikovega dioksida. To onesnaženje ima ceno. Ian Perry, strokovnjak iz Mednarodnega denarnega sklada, je preračunal. Opozoril je, da pozabljamo na dejansko ceno naše odvisnosti od nafte.
Fossil fuel prices should reflect not only the costs of supplying fuels, but also the environmental costs. We are subsidizing fossil fuels because the current prices are falling well short of where they need to be to reflect both supply and environmental costs. So there's underpricing of fossil fuels. We estimated that at the global level, fossil fuel subsidies amount to $5.9 trillion in 2020. And underpricing for environmental costs, climate change and local air pollution mortality accounts for about 86% of this subsidy.
Skoraj 6.000 milijard subvencij za fosilna goriva je večji znesek, kot znašajo vsi stroški za zdravstvene težave vsega sveta. Vsako minuto je za financiranje našega škodljivega odnosa do fosilnih energij porabljenih 11 milijonov dolarjev. Tak je konec te zgodbe. V Združenih državah Amerike je Ranženi končno uspelo prepričati mestne veljake v predmestju Dallasa in nove vrtine blizu vrtca ne bo. Lepa, a majhna zmaga, če vemo, da je multinacionalki uspelo dobiti dovoljenje za 19 novih vrtin v mestu. V Franciji je 6 nevladnih organizacij, 2 francoski in 4 uganske, vložilo tožbo proti Total Energy zaradi teptanja človekovih pravic. Njihovi odvetniki računajo na nov francoski zakon. Po tem zakonu je krovno podjetje pravno odgovorno za dejanja svojih podružnic, tudi če delujejo v tujini. Postopek še vedno poteka. Multinacionalka se na vse kriplje trudi, da bi se izognila kazni. Z zakonom o dolžnosti skrbnega ravnanja se ukvarja vse več evropskih držav. V Ženevi pa medvladna delovna skupina OZN že 6 let razvija sporazum, ki bi multinacionalke prisilil v spoštovanje človekovih in okoljskih pravic. Pogajanja še potekajo. Zaradi vojne v Ukrajini in težav z oskrbo z energijo v Evropi je Amerika povečala proizvodnjo nafte in plina. Total Energy pa je najavil širitev objekta za utekočinjenje in izvoz plina iz Mehiškega zaliva. Prav tako bodo sodelovali pri novem projektu naftnega polja na tem območju in pospešili sodelovanje s Qatar Energy. Shell, BP, Exxon, Chevron ali Total Energy. Vse te multinacionalke in njihovi delničarji verjamejo v eno. V večjo proizvodnjo, večjo prodajo in kovanje velikanskih dobičkov. Prevod Elida H. First. Zvokovna obdelava Robert Ceršin, bral Igor Veše.